Everyone's got the bad things that happen to them. Everyone's fighting their own battles, and my battle is mental. My war is in my mind. What's up, guys? It has been a while, so you might have noticed that I've been missing from Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, for the most part, for about the last week. And you might be wondering, man, Ashni, you started giving us all this cool, interesting stuff, this cool content, cool YouTube videos, and then you disappeared. Like, what is happening? So I'm gonna tell you guys what has been going on with my life for the last like 2 weeks or so, and I'm gonna throw some trigger warnings out too, because this does involve like anxiety. So if you don't like hearing about people talk about their anxiety, this is probably not a video that you want to watch. But it could also be very uplifting for some people that experience anxiety or any health-related anxiety especially. So about the end of September, I started to get these really weird chest pains one day, and I kind of went into a full-blown panic attack. Not even kind of, I definitely did. I definitely went into a full-blown panic attack, and I used some avoidance behaviors to try and kind of prevent myself from feeling what was going down. And this is a strategy that a lot of people, if you're having panic attacks, this is something that's very common that a lot of people tend to use because they just immediately want to feel better. Then I had a really stressful life event. So I'm actually at my job right now. If you guys don't know, I work for Amazon Flex. The reason that I do this job is because it's just extremely easy. It's a really great pay for the amount of time that I have to invest. So I literally have to work half of the amount of hours that typical people have to work to make the exact same paycheck, which allows me to free up a lot of time to focus on things like content creation or this business that I'm trying to start or anything else. So 2 weeks ago, I was told that they had deactivated my contract because I didn't show up to like 2 or 3 shifts. I spent basically 2 weeks sitting at home, filing an appeal for that termination notice. Whenever it really started to get interesting. 2 weeks ago, during this appeal process, I basically exploded in stress. My body had the craziest reactions that I've ever experienced in my life. I got a rash all over my leg. I don't get zits. That's not something that has really ever happened to me. I maybe get like one every 4 months. And I broke out here. I even got a really, you might even still be able to see it, but this thing was like the size of a quarter. It was like a cyst underneath my skin. I got a canker sore inside of my mouth, and I got this really weird breast pain, which I think was like an infection. If I would ever feel a twinge or anything, I would have an instant anxiety attack. The bad part about this kind of anxiety is that whenever you get it, it prevents you from doing things that are actually good for your body and could help you stop the anxiety. So whenever this started happening, whenever I was going through all this anxiety, I stopped going to the gym, which is a terrible idea. If you are experiencing anxiety, it is great to exercise because your muscles get to release those tensions and all of those hormones and those chemicals that you're experiencing in your mind, but you do it through your muscles and through movement instead. So I really stopped communicating with people. I isolated myself really bad. I was just experiencing this intense anxiety. I felt extremely lonely, and it just was this never-ending spiral. I tried everything. I tried drinking a lot of water. I tried meditating, and luckily last night I Googled once more, and I this time searched for anxiety and health, and that's whenever I learned about health-related anxiety. You also start to kind of hyper-focus on the area that you think is sick. There were a lot more symptoms other than that I experienced. If you guys are interested in learning about those, just let me know down in the comments and I'll talk with you and tell you a little bit more about what I went through. And you can also hit me up on like Twitter or email me or something. All that information is down below in the box too. But I do want to give you guys some tips so that if you are dealing with somebody that has health anxiety or anxiety in general, or is experiencing a panic attack. I did not know what to do whenever I was going through this, and it is not super easy to find information that legitimately helps. So I'm going to tell you guys right now, if you are around somebody that gets panic attacks or anxiety, there are some things that you can do to help. And there are 3 things that I really recommend for people. The first one is that there has been a lot of research done about panic attacks, and all of that research has conclusively shown that they cannot hurt you. So the first thing that you need to do is just acknowledge that you're going to be okay. It's not going to hurt you. You're not going to experience any long-term damage from this, and it's going to be fine. And if you're with somebody that is having a panic attack, that is a great thing that you can do too, is just remind them it's going to be okay. This isn't going to hurt you. This can't physically harm you. I know that it feels like it is, but don't worry, you're going to be okay. The second thing is something that I personally wasn't brave enough to do whenever I was going through my panic attack, but what I highly recommend is that you challenge those ideas you have in your head. So if your heart is beating really fast and you think that you're having a heart attack, you can run up and down some stairs to really give your heart a workout and show yourself that what you believe isn't true, that it's just your body's fight or flight response that is going crazy over a perceived threat. And then the third thing is also pretty hard to do, but it is one of the best things to do during a panic attack, and that is, if you are experiencing a panic attack, using avoidance is not a good way to cope, because your body doesn't actually learn from the experience. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, so if you really are prone to any health problems, like, you need to talk to a doctor first. And this is definitely great advice for people experiencing panic attacks, but once again, it's really great for people that are with somebody that's experiencing a panic attack. Another great thing that you could do is just kind of work out a system before that person is going through this, so that you know their preferred way for you to respond. Some people do not want your attention during a panic attack, they just want to be left alone, and some people want your attention and want you to help them through it. So you really have to set those boundaries for yourself before you get into the actual attack, because it helps a lot. The resolution to my story is that after about 12 days, Amazon realized that they had made a mistake and they reinstated my contract, and I was able to work again, and so now I'm able to earn money again, and a lot of that stress has dissipated. But at the same time, because I had already exacerbated the issue so badly, whenever I did initially get back to work, for about a week things were still pretty bad, and I was still experiencing a lot of anxiety until last night, whenever I finally told my partner what I was going through and how I had been feeling, and also what had happened with my job. All of that stuff kind of compounded together and created just this terrible environment in my brain, just filled with like stress and just this negative ball of energy. And so I've kind of come to accept that this is my challenge in life. Everybody has a challenge to get through, a kind of main theme in their life, and everyone's got the bad things that happen to them. Everyone's fighting their own battles, and my battle is mental. My war is in my mind, and I need to be strong and find ways to heal myself and ways to cope. And I need to be much more consistent about those things than I have been in the past, because I've done things like meditation and journaling and, you know, keeping my mind off of it, which actually just exacerbates the problem. I used alcohol before. Caffeine really exacerbated the issue for me too. So as I'm going through life, I'm learning more and more about what I need to stay away from, because it gives me bad energy, and what I can bring into my life that gives me good energy and makes me more fulfilled and less likely to experience these stresses, because I am naturally a high stress person. As much as I don't want or like to think that I am pretty high strung, and learning how to just kind of relax and let myself experience things is extremely important for me. And I hope that this information helped you guys, because this is not something that was very easy for me to find. I didn't even know health anxiety existed. Like, what? People can be anxious and feel afraid for their physical health? Like, a little bit of anxiety, yes, that is normal. If you get those butterflies in your stomach, if you feel a little stressed out every now and then, if you're afraid because of a test or a job interview or something, that's completely normal and there's nothing wrong with you. But if you are experiencing this cycle of anxiety that is just never ending, and you're getting full-blown panic attacks because of it, or just daily anxiety attacks 2 or 3 times a day, you really need to find what is causing the root problem. Now, we will be getting back to our regular videos now. Thank goodness. I've really been missing making content. That's a big stress for me too, is whenever I'm feeling all this stress and anxiety, like the added anxiety of me not making stuff just because I enjoy it so much. I also have a piece of wisdom for content creators, aspiring content creators, anybody that has a presence online, that has any influence at all, even if it's just one person. There is a huge stigma around mental health, especially in places like YouTube and Instagram. You see a lot of beautiful people with beautiful lives and just amazing experiences, and they seem happy all the time. And that's awesome. And of course, like, we want everyone to be just as happy as they possibly can. We want everyone to be just on cloud 9 all the time. But even those happy people are sad sometimes. And that's okay. That's part of being human, and that's totally fine. Everyone is going to get sad sometimes. But there's a problem that happens whenever we don't acknowledge this sadness and we don't let ourselves experience it, especially if we are publicly creating content and we are pretending to be this happy robot all the time. This is where a lot of people will see your content and they'll feel like there's something wrong with them. They'll feel even more so than the anxiety and the issues that they're already facing mentally. They can feel like they are just so much worse off than they actually are, because they don't see the realness in people. So that authenticity in your content and just being a real person and showing people the good as well as the bad, while it's not a very common practice, I guess. Well, it's not a very popular belief. It is definitely better for you and for your audience in the long run, because nobody wants or needs to feel worse off than they actually are, and you should not feel like you have to be a happy robot to create worthwhile content. Authenticity is way more important to your audience than you pretending to be a role model 100% of the time. So, I mean, just create and be happy and be awesome, and feel that happiness. But also, if you have a bad day, it's totally fine if you need to talk about it and you need to just be sad. That's totally okay. I really appreciate all the kind of outpouring of support that I've had, and people that have contacted me and kept in touch, even though I've been pretty hard to get a hold of recently. It is something that I am so grateful to have people in my life that will do that for me. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!